Today I'm going to show you 5 ways to stop corruption spread in Terraria. So let's go. First thing I want to show you is creating a elevator with dynamite or bombs and pretty much stopping the corruption by putting a huge hole on either side of your base. Now, I have hallowed on this side, so I didn't really need to make too big of a hole. There's only a 3 or 2 block wide gap there, which would actually work if it was 3. But over here, I have a huge hole that I created with dynamite, and here's the corruption, and the corruption can't get across to my base. So I have an island pretty much of safety for my characters. And I have a video on this where I actually make this particular hole, I think. And you can check out that video. It goes more in depth on what I'm doing here. But very simply, I'm going to use dynamite and I'm going to make sticky dynamite. And then I'm going to make a big hole. And you could use your pickaxe for this, and you don't have to use dynamite because it's kind of expensive. But I like to use dynamite because it's more fun personally. Now I'm obviously late game and I've already created the area that I want where I don't want any corruption, okay? But I would recommend doing this as early as possible. If you can create an island early enough in the game, and what I mean by an island is a place where there's no corruption on either side of you. If you can do that before hard mode, then this is going to be a lot easier to do. However, there's 2 things to watch out for if you do that. And one of those is fall damage. You would want to have maybe the lucky horseshoe to do it, and money. Now, when you're throwing the dynamite down, you don't need to go as slow as I am. If you wait like 1 or 2 seconds in between throws, it'll do a chain reaction effect. So usually what I do is I do a little bit of a hole like this, and then I go 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then it'll just start exploding downwards for you. You'll have a chain reaction, and I just do loads of those then. So you'll just see me tossing dynamite. Eventually you'll hit water, or you might hit ore that you can't blow up and you'll have to mine it. And this is actually a very good example of why I do this early game. I do this before hard mode because there's going to be hard mode ores that you can't mine with dynamite, but they won't exist in pre-hard mode, so you can do that. Now, I'm not going to go all the way down here simply because I've already made a video on this that goes more in detail. As I said, check that out. But the gist of it is pretty much just throw the dynamite down the hole. You can go a little bit quicker than I'm going as well. I'm only going slow because I'm talking so much. And then, as you can see, this is a lot faster when you do it like this. The dynamite has like a chain reaction as it goes down. Very quick, I'll talk about the V-shape. When the V-shape happens after killing the wall of flesh, there is a very, very low chance that the V-shape is going to hit your base. I've never actually had a V-shape hit my base before. So normally what I would recommend you do, and it moves on to my next tip as well, is in the very first stages of the game, when I create a new world, I go over to where the corruption is, and I pretty much use that as my marker as to where my elevator should be, or the hole that I blow up with dynamite. So usually when you start a new world, this will all be filled in, and you'll have a corruption area right here. And you will start your elevator with dynamite based upon where the corruption ends. Now, if you don't want to create a elevator in pre-hard mode, then you can stop the spread of corruption just for pre-hard mode using sunflowers. So we're going to do that right now. So I have some dirt blocks here, and let's turn off autopause. And I have some grass seeds that I bought from the Dryad, and we're just going to put the grass seeds down. We don't need that many. We only need 2 actually. And we put a sunflower right here. The sunflower will stop the corruption from spreading towards my base early game. In the early game, your corruption spread is very, very low, and it only spreads atop the surface with grass. So as long as you have a sunflower here, the corruption can't pass and get into your base. Now, unfortunately, when you kill Wall of Flesh, the corruption gets way more aggressive and starts going underground, and that's why you have to make a big hole, because the base is going to get corrupted from underneath. And I just want to show you real quick an example of natural occurring sunflowers doing their job, even though I didn't put them there. And that is over here. I have a hallowed area, and I have a sunflower on each side of this hallowed area, and it's stopping the hallowed area from spreading. Hallowed generally only spreads through stone and obviously through grass on the surface. But because there's a sunflower on either side, it's locked it in. And it's the same thing over here. There's literally one sunflower here, and it separates the two hallowed biomes. So it's perfect. The sunflowers are great for stopping surface level spread. Now, I mentioned that in Terraria, the corruption can come underneath your base. So this is something that a lot of people do that I personally don't do. I prefer to use bombs. But if you prefer to do it this way, what I recommend you do is you make a 4 wide hole underneath your base. The reason why I say 4, for anyone who knows that it's 3, that it needs to be, is because your pickaxe will automatically do 2 at a time. So there's no point in doing 2 and then 1. You might as well just do 4. And the corruption can't jump across here as long as there's a gap, even if it goes across underneath. And don't worry about the background walls. They can't spread corruption, and they don't count as corruption as well. So even if the corruption slowly starts to creep across the back wall, as long as it's the back wall, you're completely fine. But what we're doing now is we want to protect our base from downwards up. So I'm going to pick a spot here, and I'm actually going to dig across, and I'm going to go underneath my base. We call this the UShape. The UShape to stop corruption. Very creative name. Maybe we can come up with something better. And that UShape is literally going to protect just your base area, because you're going to have a giant U going underneath your base, and the corruption can't get across, it can't get up, and it can't get across. Once again, I'd recommend making this U-shape 4 high. So when you're making your shape, you go like this. So you're above you as well as across. The first U-shape that I've ever done for my own base before, because I always use the dynamite technique. Best thing about the dynamite technique as well, apart from being more fun in my opinion, is you create a elevator, so you get to hell very quickly. And we're just going to make this also 4 wide. And we're just going to go down to that U-shape. And once we have hit that, corruption can no longer get into my base. Now, as you can see, actually, anyone here who's eagle-eyed, I've already got some corruption going across, which means my base is actually going to get corrupted even with that U-shape. But it's only going to get corrupted with Hello. So I don't really mind that so much. The enemies running around, they're a bit more dangerous, but especially if I'm late game, I don't really mind. The Hello doesn't move your NPCs out of their house, and that's the most important thing. Another way that you can get rid of the corruption is with the Claminator. And more eagle-eyed of you will notice that I have a bloody blood moon in the middle of my recording. So this is going to be interesting. Luckily, I have my Stardust Dragon to keep me company. But yeah, the Claminator is one of the classic ways of removing corruption. I have a video on this as well, so how to get the Claminator and how to get the ammo, I will show you in another video that I'll link above. But in general, the Claminator allows you pretty much to turn corruption back into normal. Now, this will all become corrupted again because I'm only doing this for demonstration purposes. But in general, if you want to turn a corruption biome into a normal biome, just do what I literally did there. And if you have any spreading going across your pretty much your protection area, let's just say I have a perfect example. I have literally just found some pearl stone that has been creeping across towards my base, and let's just say I'm afraid that that is going to cause my base to become corrupted. I come across here. I could use a biome sight potion if I want to make sure that I get all of the pearl stones so that I don't miss any of it. But I use my Claminator to clean up this little bit here. I don't mind this side. This side's fine. and just going to give it a good clean and stop any corruption from spreading on that U-shape. Perfect way to show off the Contaminator with that pearl stone. So my final tip for you today is with Purification Powder, which you get from the Dryad. Now, this is kind of more of an early game one as well. If you have your sunflower here and you're blocking the corruption, but there's a little bit of corruption on this side, you can use Purification Powder to get rid of a tiny bit of corruption. I have way too much Purification Powder here. But anyway, as you can see here, I'm after putting down the Purification Powder, and it turns the corruption into normal grass, which you can actually do the exact same thing with the corrupted blocks as well. So if I was to have early game equipment and I wanted to get through these blocks, I can throw Purification Powder on them, and now I can dig through. So let's just say I am down in the corrupted area and I want to get Eater of the Worlds, and I find an orb, a shadow orb down here somewhere. I can turn this into normal stone and go down and get that. Obviously with this pickaxe I don't need to do it, but if you have any pickaxe in the game, you can get down to the shadow orbs using this technique. So make sure you use that if you are looking to spawn Eater of the Worlds. Obviously the same thing works for Brain of Cthulhu. So thank you very much for watching today's video. Let me know if any questions, let me know if any comments, let me know if you do anything differently. I have to admit, this is the second blood moon I've had in a row while trying to record, so Terraria really knows how to slow me down. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again in the next one.